Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today we've got a special video for you. We're going to cover every spotlight in the month of November, but not just every spotlight, every single card releasing, along with a deck from each, a breakdown for each, and so much more. But we never leave you without a new deck that you could play today. So we're going to start out with the Mystery Patriot deck. It's a Mysterio Patriot deck, and I have no idea who made it. However, it is really, really powerful. It's got amazing stats in High Infinite, and it's easy to see the 18 different synergies that this deck has with Bast and Agent Venom as a way to put out an absurd amount of power and steal cubes in the process. So this deck needs only Agent Venom, which is really nice. Sage can be Wolfsbane, and Cassandra Nova can be Ironheart. If you have speed, one of those could be speed as well. You're just sort of looking for good cards. Don't be afraid to try a Cosmo out. You've got a lot of options for those last couple of spots. This deck, in 220 games, that's a big sample, has a 60% win rate in High Infinite, top 10% Infinite, which is now top 10,000. Turn 1, you Bast if good targets, and the key good targets are Hood, Mystique, Iron Man, and Mysterio. If you can get 2 of those, you'll almost always Bast. Better after that, you just pass. It's also worth noting, every card but Agent Venom in the deck is buffed by Bast. Turn 2, you want Agent Venom over Bast, and then you can play Mysterio if you Basted. If you got Bast on turn 1 and Mysterio on turn 2, feel free to drop it. Turn 3, Patriot is perfectly fine, so are Brood and Cassandra Nova. Cassandra Nova is obviously a significantly better card if she starts with 3 or 4 than 0, but that's fine. You can also play a 2+1. Let's say you Basted, and then you drew that Agent Venom a turn late. You can still play like an Agent Venom with a Hood, for example. Turn 4 is the same basic thing as turn 3. Relatively straightforward, right? But you can add Mystique on Patriot into the mix, and you don't necessarily want to Brood early. If you played Mystique, that's going to be a later play. Turn 5, your goal play is Iron Man. This is also a fine time for a 2+3 as necessary. This is generally speaking where Mysterio is going to come out. If Mysterio comes out, it'll be like a Mysterio and a Patriot here. Make sure a Patriot is second if you do make that play, though, so you can still Mystique it on the last turn. In the last turn, you're just combining 3s. You're saying which 3 drops you would like to combine in the game in order to go forward. Turn 6, you're saying like, here's a Surfer and a Patriot. Here's a Mystique on Iron Man and a Surfer. Whatever the case may be. And because all of these cards are ideally buffed by either Bast or Agent Venom or both, you're putting out more power than almost any deck in the game can deal with. It's also relatively easy to sort of not have parity, and Goliath is on the downswing, so you should be able to avoid Shadow King as well with this deck. So we're going to do a little bit more, take one last look at this deck, then we're going to go over every spotlight card, tier, and a deck for each. So one last look at this beautiful deck. Please do give it a try, especially if you are someone still looking to climb into High Infinite, or if you are someone who is trying to hit Infinite. This is a straightforward deck that should absolutely farm. Before we go any further, looks like we're going to hit 15,000 subs this year, which is mind-bogglingly amazing. Thank you so much for the support. Can we do 16? Is it crazy to try for 16? We're going to try for 16,000 subs. So if you're willing, please hit that sub button, like, and comment. It would mean the world to us to help us get to 16,000 subs. We do 7 days a week of Marvel Snap videos here on the channel. If you're willing to join in and help us out, you will get more top Marvel Snap decks than anyone gives you. We give you at least 7 brand new decks with full guides. Sorry, at least 4 brand new decks with full guides 7 days a week. We take 1 day a week technically off from the podcast, for the podcast, but that day we give you extra decks just in case so that you don't miss out on other days of the week, so that you always have an average of at least 4 decks a day. And that last day, well, this week we had Glenn Jones. You heard of Glenn Jones, the guy who makes all the cards? He came on the podcast and basically talked about what was good in the meta right now, answered a bunch of questions, so make sure you check that out yesterday. More content, hit that sub button. We are also giving away 5 season passes. As long as you're subbed, all you have to do is like and comment. As long as you've liked and commented and you subbed, the comment on the video is a chance to win a season pass. Tomorrow's video will announce the first 5 season pass winners and then kick off the video with the next 5 season pass winners. So all you have to do is like, comment, sub, and by Monday, assuming you did it for last week's videos, right, you will have a chance to win one of 5 season passes, and then we're doing 5 more next week. It's our way to give back to the community of Marvel Snap. And now, Surtur. This is the season pass card for November, and this card is insane. It is a 3/5, Series 5 6,000 tokens, or at least Series 5 6,000 tokens as of December. Right now, you can only get it through the Season Pass, $9.99. After you play a card with 10 plus power, this gains plus 3 power. If you play one 10 plus power card, this is Gladiator. If you play two, this is through the roof. This is Sage at the end of the game, potentially. This is absolutely insane. This is super strong. This card is going to be wild. This is a meta shifter. You know how you haven't seen Shang in a while? Welcome back to Shang-Chi. So, Scar decks love this, right? Like decks that run a bunch of 10s to make Scar cheap can turn this into like a 316. A 317. And that's just insane, right? Like if that becomes meta, and Mobius will be in decks the second this card comes out to stop that from being meta. If that becomes meta, then all of a sudden, this is one of the best cards in the game. So you absolutely want that. Are there any other decks to make this worth it? So a 3-8 or 3-11 is probably worth it. If you run enough 10s to make sure that you're running a 10, so let's say you're running Arrow and Magneto and you almost always play one, you'd probably take a 3-8 in those decks, right? Or at least it's worth considering a 3-8 in those decks. Okay. What else can run multiple bigs? White Wayne Brady in chat, because I made this deck and I made this slideshow during a slideshow just so people could watch what the process is. Notes that Thanos, Shuri, and Evo She-Hulks all make some sense. So Thanos decks like the classic, whether it's Lockjaw or whether it's just running like Hope Summers, those decks go with multiple 10 drops, and if you can just make this your 3, then you can play like a Call on it on 4, and then that's a 3-8, and then you play Thanos himself and you got a 3-11. That seems worthwhile, right? Like you're just happy to have that. Shuri decks will take a 3-11 as well. They're just perfectly happy for a 3-11 most of the time. And then the Evo She-Hulk decks, where they're trying to play like double She-Hulk or double She-Hulk Infinite at the end of the game, those are perfectly happy to just say, okay, 3-11 as well. So any of these decks want the card if you don't like Scar decks, if you don't have Scar, but Scar decks seem like they're going to be the very best home. This is going to be a powerful card, I'm telling you right now. But even more than that, this is going to be a powerful card. A thing to be aware of is that the Season Pass card is ridiculously worth it. The Season Pass card is always equivalent to a Series 5 card. So we're going to look at the math of what a Series card is thanks to our friend Lauren Whatevs. So a Series 5 card is worth 6,000 tokens or 2.5 keys. You'll save that. You get 2.5 keys or 6,000 tokens for your $10. That's fundamentally the value you get. On top of that, you get an extra 300 credits and 1,550 gold if we're counting weekend missions. And obviously, we should be counting weekend missions. So 1,550 is obviously a ton of gold, right? I don't have to explain that. 300 credits is nothing major, right? It's not even a split. But 1,550 gold you can turn around and use it on other bundles to get more cards, to get more stuff in the game. By the way, if you're curious about bundles, the end of this video has 2 bundle reviews. I didn't want to put them early in the video because this video is meant to be good for the whole month, and those bundles will only be in the shop for a couple days. But also, if I waited until tomorrow to cover them, they'd be out of the shop. So they're at the end of the video if you're curious. Cosmetics, 3 exclusive variants, 1 pre-mystery variant, 2 mystery variants, 3 avatars, 2 titles, 1 card back, 1 emote, which is 7,250 gold worth of cosmetics. But what's more than that, if you ever buy a 700 gold variant from the shop, you're getting so much more. An exclusive variant would be at least 1,200, but honestly, it's even more than that, right? Because these variants are not things you can get any other way. But then you're getting 2 mystery variants of 700 gold value, 1 pre-mystery variant, somewhere between like something like 900 gold value. The average, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. In the end, with the cosmetics, the season pass is worth $212.92. Without the cosmetics, just forget the cosmetics. You don't care about cosmetics. Cosmetics are stupid and they're not for you. Screw the digital cardboard. The season pass is still worth, in terms of buying everything else in the game, $122.31. And it costs $9.99. It's either 12.24 or 21.31 times value of not buying it, right? Of what you get. So there's nothing else in the game. Even the like 600% value bundles are not worth a season pass. Season passes are the best thing you can buy in the game. You should buy the season pass, but we're going to talk more about Surtur specifically when we look at his deck right now. This is a deck that has been meta right now. It runs Cosmo, and I replaced Cosmo with Surtur. We're going to have to find space for like armor and stuff. Shadow King's going to have to go, and maybe one more card. Someone in the comments of one of the videos suggested the name. This is a Yo Woody MJ deck if you would like to give credit. I just stuck Surtur in it. 410 to Tuma is the best name I've ever heard for a deck. It is now the answer to what's your favorite deck name? 410 to Tuma. And I'm assuming everyone gets the reference, but if you don't, I'm sure the comments will help you out. But this list is like blindingly simple. You would like to play Zabu. Then you would like to play Psylocke. If either of those give you a 4, you play a 4 and skip Surtur. If either of those don't give you a 4, play Surtur. Or you can just play Surtur anyway if you have a handful of foreigners are fine. Then you play Crossbones. Then you, or whatever, right? Or a Tuma, or a Cull Obsidian, or a Typhoid Mary. Then you play the other of those. Then you play Scar for free, along with either another 410 and Shadow King, or Luke Cage and a demon, or whatever the hell you want. And how are you going to get that demon? You say, well, you see that Hood card that you can play? A, you can play it on a Tuma and guarantee it blows up. But B, beyond being able to do that, or you can play it to play Cull Obsidian, which is also great. With Zabu or Psylocke, on an off turn, you're often going to end up with just an extra energy. You only have a 4 to play on turn 5, so that's a great time to drop it and have that extra energy. And you just put up stupid power and you say, big, dumb, idiots, 410 to Tuma, win. Go get Surtur. There's a million decks like this that are going to be meta, I think, if not now, relatively soon. This is too much stats not to be good. Whenever they put big numbers on a card, it's going to be good. Glenn Jones outright said on the podcast yesterday that they want the season pass card to shake the meta. They want it to be a must buy. They want it to feel like there's a new card that changes the way you have to play Marvel Snap. They hit real high with Agent Venom. Is this as good as Agent Venom? Nope. It doesn't go into as many things probably, but it sure does seem good. Go get this card. Coming out with Surtur is Frigga. This is coming out on 11/5. Frigga is a 3/3. On reveal, add a copy of the last card you played to your hand if able. As a 3, this is kind of funkily costed. It can be awkward for you, but it does have numerous great targets. The target that they want you to use it with is the hammers. I don't think that's very good because sometimes you're going to draw a hammer, right? But most of the time you don't. And if you do, it's going to be really hard to draw Frigga also. You're not going to usually use it. You're usually going to use Jane for that, or King Eitri, or Eitri, who we're going to cover later this video. However, cards that grow up on play are really, really great here. If you can do like a Sage or a Wolfsbane, right, on turn 3 or 4 on a decent sized lane, you can then play this in a different lane, and you're going to copy that buffed Sage. If you play a Iron Fist and a Madam Web, right? And then an Iron Fist into Human Torch into Madam Web, you now copied that 8-power Human Torch when you play this next. Stuff like that is through the roof. There's a ton of cards like that. Anti-Venom also loves this. We're assuming at this point that reduced cost cards can keep their reduced costs. So if you Anti-Venom, right? And you get a cheap whatever card, you can then play that and play Frigga and immediately copy to get an extra 0 to play the next turn of the game. Pixie cards work much the same way. And of course, Silver Surfer is key. This is a 3 card. You can literally go, if you go Hope Summers into, let's say, Gwenpool, right? Into Surfer Frigga, into Surfer Absorbing Man. This card's going to be awesome. All right, so Frigga's Spotlight variant is as follows. It is this one here. I think there's a better non-Spotlight variant for almost every card this month, so I'm not going to be opening for these Spotlight variants. However, I do think I want this Red Guardian. I haven't decided for sure. And I definitely want this Copycat, so if I open the Copycat first, maybe I'll stop. I'm planning on just using caches for this week. I'm a content creator. That doesn't mean you should. However, these are 2 Series 5 cards that are meta. They're also, all 3 of these seem like they could be meta in a Surfer deck, which speaks highly of it, which speaks highly of this, this combination. I think that we're going to end up wanting to open here. If you're missing Copycat 100%, if you're missing Copycat and Red Guardian 100%, if you're missing Red Guardian, very likely. This is looking like a very, very strong week with 3 Series 5 cards that are all really, really good. And God, that Copycat variant is gorgeous. All right, Frigga's day 1 deck for me is going to be this Move Bounce list. This is a meta list. It is showing amazing stats right now. It was running Sage. I don't want to cut Sage, but I think I have to cut Sage. Fundamentally, what we're saying here, I want you to think of the things I can do here, right? Outside of copying that torch, copying that dagger, and copying that vulture, I can copy a 7-power toxin that I can then also bounce, and I can get so many different move bounce triggers with this that I should be able to get one of my move cards to absolutely stupid numbers. That's my entire theory here. Even if I'm copying just a 3/9 vulture, then I can replay a 3/9 vulture and with a move card and get a 3/15 vulture. And I'm so far ahead of opponents. I think this is exactly what it wants to do. The other thing I could do here is my Falcon or whatever gets stopped by a Cosmo, right? I can just copy that stupid Falcon with Frigga and move on with life. Everything starts bigger than it is, particularly Madam Web is a 4-power card, Dagger is a 4-power card, Aranya, Toxin starting with 4 are through the roof. This is going to be really good. I'm very, very excited for this list. I think Frigga really, really pulls the room together. She might be the rug that holds the room together of this deck that has been really good, but not quite meta all season. Very excited for Frigga. Very excited for the card she comes with, and we have decks for both of those as well. This is just for the record, because I know I'm sharing Den's version of this is an Ika deck we covered in Friday's video. If you're curious about this list as a turn by turn, check Friday's video. This is Ika's deck. Ika underscore MTS if you want to find him. So this is one of the best decks in the game. This deck might end up running Shang-Chi once the meta changes a bit, but hey, US Agent is pretty good at making sure that Scar doesn't matter. But like we can make Rogue Mobius. We can find ways to like fit whatever tech cards we need for the meta into this list. This is a very, very, very strong Marvel Snap card list. You get Gwenpool and Sarah out, and you go off. Monkey gets huge. A 212 in Mysterio, if you can get Agent Venom, it is huge. There's a ton to like about this list. Red Guardian is an absolute must here. That previous list, right? No Madam Web, it's in trouble. Red Guardian is absolutely a monster right now and a necessity for almost every control list in the game. Meanwhile, we have the Andre Var repeat deck. This is going to be our copycat deck for the day. We covered this for ages. Andre Var won like 4 weeks in a row of tournaments and is top 50 ranked with this. There's a very similar version that doesn't run copycat. Instead runs a tech card, I want to say Killmonger, that Ekmati runs, and Ekmati is the current number 3 ranked player in Marvel Snap, although Barzi is closing in. Yeah, this list is wildly good. It's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly consistent. This list should be absolutely hilarious against Scarless, where they play a couple of 4/10s, and you just drop a Hazmat a little bit early, and all of a sudden they're 4/9s, and Scar is not big. And then your Ajax can still be big, and you can use US Agent to another lane. I expect this to be a very good list. It's got everything you need to answer the current meta. It is really, really strong, really, really powerful, and I'm interested in seeing how far this can go. Can you play this list without Copycat? Yes, you can play most Copycat lists without Copycat, but she is going to be an excellent, excellent card. Hell, let's say she copies Surtur, right? You're only playing one card where that really matters. You're playing Ajax, but you just got a 3/8 out of it. Great, seems good to me. I don't know. This just seems too good to miss out on. Malekith is another really, really good card. This is our friend Lauren Bodev's pick for best card of the month. It is a 4/6 on reveal at a 1, 2, or 3 cost card from your deck here. It reveals at the end of the game. We are currently assuming, we are under the assumption that, we are under the assumption right now that this card is going to show you what it's copying. And if it does, it's going to be great. Period. Like, this is almost always going to be, if you build your deck properly, a 4/9, and it's very likely to be a 4/11. So I took that Ekmati version of the deck we talked about earlier and put it together, and I think that's where we're going to start. But first, there's a million homes. There's monkey decks. The non-bounce monkey decks love this. This hits Mysterio, you're sad, but this hits anything else in that list, you're pretty freaking thrilled. A Shadow King, awesome. A monkey, yes please. Whatever it is, it's awesome. It also works great with cards like Sage and Wolfsbane, which just want to reveal it late and be big power. You have to be too careful, too many low costs like Iceman and Spider-Ham and Hood that just destroys them, so it can't be a list that runs those. It has to be a different type. Ajax and Hazmat seem like they're going to be the home, or we can use this to get as a way to get some cheap stuff on Wong. We can play, if we have like, I don't know, Sage and Ironheart in a list, right? We can play Wong and drop this on it, and then we guarantee those 2 cards are going to be huge and like reveal at the end of the game for like that game winning big Sage and that Ironheart that's going to pump up the board. It seems great. There's like 10 million different ways to use this. I'm super excited for what people come up with. This is my pick for this month's Misery, where it's a card that's just like, oh my god, look at all the synergies that we found. Uh, in addition, not only is Malekith good, Malekith is coming with a card that everyone must own, Thena, and a card that in Valentina that almost no one owns, but is pretty damn good. Valentina is a very good card. I don't have a Valentina variant, so I need this. This Thena variant is great. I have a gold and rainbow crackle on my previous Thena spotlight, so I'm almost certainly opening for these two as well. And again, there's a better Malekith than the spotlight, so I don't have to bother. But Malekith is a must-own card, Thena is a must-own card, and Valentina's stats are on the rise. All right, so this is the Malekith deck we're going to talk about today. This is an update of the Ekmati list. Ekmati was running Invisible Woman and stuff. I realized that I can just add an extra 2 and run Ghost and be totally fine here. Actually, I think I might have cut an extra 2 and just run Malekith instead, but whatever. The idea here is if you want to get these cards out of the deck, right? Quicksilver is going to get himself out of the deck. You don't really want to hit Kate, but you're fine to hit Shadow King. Just play Malekith where you're going to want a Shadow King or US Agent, right? You're fine to hit Killmonger. You're fine to hit Luke. You don't really want to hit Ghost, but at least that's a 4/11, and you would love to hit Hazmat. That's a lot of good hits for this card in this deck. You can use it to avoid your man thing. You know exactly what you get, and you should be able to sort of take advantage of it. If you get Wiccan, this card on turn 5 plus a Ghost, plus a Luke Cage, plus a Killmonger is backbreaking. I'm in love with this idea. This is, I don't know, the deck? Probably the deck I'm most excited to play this month. I think Malekith is going to be through the roof powerful in this. We also have a Thena deck. This is the Woody Good Stuff deck. It's a meta deck. Thena right now is only played with Agent Venom. So my big advice for Thena, we're going to talk about this multiple times in the video, is she's an S tier card if you own Agent Venom. If you don't, she's a very low A or high B tier card. So if you bought Agent Venom, go get Thena for the love of all that's holy. If you have Agent Venom and Thena and Kate Bishop, i.e. if you buy Season Pass cards and have Thena, you have access to this deck. You can do without Silver Sable. You can do without Speed. You can do without Cassandra Nova. Juggernaut is one of them. Whatever one drop you like, Rocket Raccoon or something is one of them, and then you just figure out like another. You run a Wolfspan or something on that Cassandra was better Sage, and you're totally fine. And this is a tier 1 deck that you get real cheap as long as you own Thena. Go get your girl Thena. This deck is, again, this was the meta deck of the October season. Was it the best deck? No, but outside of Bounce, it was the deck that you had to account for. Then finally, we have Derek's Midrange Miracle. This is a home for Valentina. Glenn noted that Valentina and Sarah's stats were on a huge upswing, which I think is really cool. 8 anti-venom decks run Luke Cage. Valentina loves Luke Cage. Sarah decks like having that extra card, right? 3 cost 6 that for full power with Luke Cage seems like it's really, really good. You have no downside with US Agent. You can Shadow King it to get its power back. There's just a bajillion ways to get power out of this card in this list. I really, really think Valentina is going to remain having a home in this list. The card I'm actually least sold on in this list is Typhoid Mary. I think it makes the deck rely a little too much on Luke, but outside of that, this is just like through the roof power. Valentina is not required, but she's like so clearly the best 2 in slot for this list that if you want to play it, you should get it. However, it is worth noting that this is an expensive list. Man-Thing is Series 4, Anti-Venom is Series 5, Ms. Marvel is Series 5, Mobius is Series 4, US Agent Series 5, and Zabu Series 4. However, you know how I keep telling you to buy the Season Pass? Zabu is a former Season Pass card. Ms. Marvel's a former Season Pass card. I guess that's only 2 in this one. But you see how many former Season Pass cards are with Agent Venom in the other one, and so on and so forth. So you need to like look into this. It's too good not to look into. Especially if you need Thena. If you don't need Thena, we can talk, but I think you should be aiming for this week as well. Fenris Wolf, 1119, 2/3. Everyone's super hyped about this. Series 5, 6,000 tokens. Activate, resurrect the highest powered, discarded, or destroyed enemy card to your side of this location. It is extremely unlikely that this works for like a Deadpool or an Apocalypse. There's nothing to resurrect. It goes to resurrect the card, but that card is not there because it's still in your opponent's hand. It would have been the highest discarded card, but it never actually ended up discarded, much like playing Hela or trying to like Phoenix Force a Deadpool. It just doesn't work, right? That's not how Resurrect works in Snap. However, it should work. Otherwise, I don't think this card is good. I know everyone is going crazy about this. I've heard a million people a million times say this is going to be one of the best cards with Shang-Chi, with Killmonger, with Yondu, and I'm just not sold, but everyone keeps telling me I'm wrong. So I could be wrong, but my guess is this is really, really good into the Surtur meta, and the second we move on from the Surtur meta, if we've already moved on from the Surtur meta, this lacks a home. This is partners are obviously Shang, Killmonger, Lady Deathstrike, Negasonic. Remember, you can destroy as many things as you want. It's going to get the highest power thing, so don't stress it. Death, Cannonball. I mean, 2099 was suggested, but like, come on, 2099 is not a real card. I could work with Black Bolt, Silver Samurai, Moon Knight decks, but those have sort of started to fall apart. Thanks very much to the Rock Slide change. Some locations are fine here if the opponent's like doing location stuff, but this is face up on the board, so whatever. I think Sarah Tech might like this. And then, yeah, we'll look at the deck after we look at the spotlights. This is a reasonably cool variant. Good for this variant. This card comes with a Nihilus and Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night's one of my favorite cards, but it's not meta. It is one of the highest win rate decks, again, as an option, but Scream is so good right now that it's really hard for me to think Werewolf is better than the Monkey versions, and Monkey is putting up S tier stats. Nihilus has a new deck that we'll take a look at in a minute, but Nihilus is also not meta, and right now, in order to play Nihilus, I think you need Anti-Venom. If you have Anti-Venom and you don't have a Nihilus, then I think you could open this week. If you're dying for Werewolf, because Werewolf is so cool, I think you could open this week, but that's fine. I also absolutely hate this Werewolf variant. I don't know why, but I really, really do not enjoy it. It reminds me of the Zabu last month that I also didn't like. And I like cartoony art. I love Dan Hips. I do like this Nihilus, but I got a hip, so I'm not really worried about it. All right, Dog Biscuit is from the White Wayne Brady, who created this list and sent it to me. This is intended to be a destroy Fenris Wolf list. Where you're just trying to kill something, right? You're trying to like destroy some stuff and get the biggest thing you can. If you get enough Yondu triggers, you're likely to get. If you get enough Killmonger triggers, you're likely to get something. And then like it's not like that. Playing that card takes away your ability to play Null or Death. They work in concert. You have to obviously be careful with Lady Deathstrike and Fenris Wolf, but outside of that, you should be totally fine. You can even re-trigger that Death Strike, re-trigger that Shang-Chi if a better target comes available, and then trigger the Wolf because that's how Activate works. There's something here. This could work. This could also end up easily outpowered by other things, but we'll see. This has potential. Then we have the Anti-Space Derek. This is the Annihilus deck I referred to. This is the only Annihilus deck I've seen in ages in Marvel Snap, like literally in so freaking long. But Anti-Venom with Sentry, Annihilus, or Cersei is absolutely insanely strong. That's fundamentally what this deck says. If I can hit it with any of those and I can get Luke Cage out, I win. It's an I win button. So that's it. That's all we're doing. We're saying, I've got this combo you can't prepare for. That auto wins me the game. I can snap on it. You don't know what I'm snapping on. You have to run. It's a really cool combo because you're not really foretelling what you're going to do, and a lot of people aren't playing these cards. Do you need to go out of your way to get an Nihilus for this deck? Nope, but it is fun. And then Werewolf by Geo. This is going to get a full deck guide relatively soon. You can tell decks that get full deck guides, they have variants in them, but this is going to get a full deck guide relatively soon. Geo has a 60+% win rate at top infinite with this Werewolf bounce list. I played it to great success during the afternoon, then I tried to play it again in the afternoon, and location variance was just very hostile to it for whatever reason. Like if you get a bunch of kilns, right, this is a sad deck. But outside of that, this deck is quite good. It's a great way to steal cubes from people that are expecting monkey stuff when you end up dropping Iron Man stuff. If you get Werewolf out, you don't always really have extra stuff to play at the end of the game. So if you can get Werewolf and Black Swan out, you can trigger Swan, and then you can spend your last turn moving Werewolf and dropping Iron Man. And like they're expecting a monkey and they're trying to play around one card and you would get cubes with another. All right, Gorr the God Butcher. This one's flying. Gorr the God Butcher is a 6-1. Series 5, 6,000 tokens. Ongoing, +2 power for each on-reveal card in play. So let's say you have 5 on-reveal cards. Well, this has +10 power. That's a 6/9. That's not that many, so you're going to need to get more on-reveals in play to make this really work. But your opponent should have a few on-reveals as well, right? Right. So you want things that make multiple on reveals unless you're going to play this in a negative deck. So cards like Kate Bishop, Snowguard, and Shanna. Kate alone can be +6 power on this card. Snowguard can be +2. Shanna can obviously be +8, but that's going to be rare. because one of those ones won't be. Swan and ones is also an option here, but I don't know how I feel about that. Hood, Viper Goblin stuff, so you don't clog out your own side. But Mr. Negative is where we're going to look to live with this card. Because if this card is a 0/6, and then all your on reveals are like even 5 on reveals now you have a 16 power card, and now we're talking. This is the Spotlight variant for Gorr. Again, I don't love the Spotlights this month. This Legion is kind of awesome, and I don't like this Havoc. I think there's the Meltdown Havoc and the Max Greek, I believe it's Max Greek, Havoc are both significantly better than this. But, hey, that Legion is awesome. Legion has really, really great variants because he's so weird. All right. Also, these are Series 4 cards, and everything else this month is Series 5, so you're good. I think they're just assuming everyone's going to want Gorr. And they should for this deck, right? So Mystique will not count. So with this deck, it is entirely possible to get Cassandra Nova, Ironheart, Sage, and Jane out with this card. And if you can get like 4 or 5, you've now got a 16 power card. You can Zola it, make it an 18 power card in 2 locations. That's usually just going to be more than null, is going to be most of the time. You can try to play this with the null version, but I couldn't really figure out what to cut. I don't know. Like, I feel like this is just too strong. This is probably as good as Negative's going to be, because like, there's games where you just go Ravonna into Cassandra, right? Into I don't know, Magic into Ironheart, into Jane, into Gorr, into Zola, and you just have like enough to win lanes, enough to win games. There's a lot to like about this card. I think it is really, really going to take Negative to another level. We saw in the new video for the new card, this being like a 20 power deal breaker in multiple games. I think that's going to be hard to pull off, at least at first. But I think Negative's going to have very little trouble getting this to absurd heights, and Negative's always a little better than you think. I also like that this is coming out at the end of the month, because Surtur is at the beginning of the month, and Surtur is going to mean a lot of Mobius, and by the end of the month, the meta is likely to have moved on from all of that Mobius, and thus Gorr will be good in decks like Negative once more. We also have the only home left for Legion, Derek Storm list. Legion was all over the place when we could do War Machine Storm, War Machine Legion shenanigans, but that's not the case anymore. So this is the last Storm deck. It's good, but it's not great. It is an element of surprise list, and I featured it in a video a week and a half ago, and now no one's surprised by it. So, oh well. And then we have the small good cards list. There's a million versions of this, but this is one I'll be featuring soon. This is, I believe, a Derek list. That one of the things he's using. Derek, remember, before he was well known as Derek, was Havoc Enjoyer. So that's this list. It's really good. It's really strong. It's really consistent. It's one of the better decks right now encountering the metagame. So feel free to play it. It's sort of like the Claw Iron Man list, but it's a smaller version that plays lower to the ground and is able to sort of mess with opponents more and be unpredictable more. Really great list. Do you need Havoc for it? He's good in it. Like, if you can get an Bast or a Agent Venom on Havoc, it's great. If you can't, it's fine. It's a 2/7 or a 2/8, right? That's really good stats. If you get US Agent, if you got US Agent, you're fine, right? There's other things to do here without losing it. Shadow King is fine. There's other ways to play the game. Then we have the Deadpool's Diner card. Deadpool's Diner is back the second week of this month. We don't know what series this is at all. I'm very curious what it will be once it's out of Deadpool's Diner, but we do not have that information right now. It is a 1/2 activate draw card that didn't start in your deck. That's great. Super excited for it. I think that's going to be absolutely awesome. I think it's great with hammers. This is why I don't really care about Frigga, although that could be a combo with Frigga, where you play Thor, immediately activate this, get that hammer, play this, and then Frigga, and then you're going to town. Thanos seems really great here. This is going to draw a stone. Arishem loves this. It's just draw a card in Arishem. Loki loves this. It's just draw a card in Loki. And this at least counters Darkhawk a little bit for all those decks. So this is going to be a really great card. I think King Eitri is really good. Eitri, I keep saying Eitri. I don't know why. King Eitri is going to be a really, really good card. All right, this is the deck I'm going to start with for it. If I don't need it, if I have Jane, I can just throw King Eitri into a Lockjaw without any trouble. Go get something big. This is If I get those hammers early, I can misery them and make my stuff unnecessarily big. I can do silly doom shenanigans with Odin and so on. I don't know. This feels like it's probably really, really good. Yes, it's only really working with Thor and Beta Ray Bill, but it also has that synergy with Lockjaw that I think makes it worth it. This is going to be the obvious day one home for the deck, I would all but guarantee, and thus I think that's where you should try playing it. All right, so let's rank every single card this month, and we're going to shout out to Docty always. I said I was going to talk about Docty this video. So Docty is the best person I've met in this game at evaluating unreleased cards. Docty became the king of Marvel Snap card content when Drew Berry stepped down from that mantle, the most watched person who filled that niche. That specifically did that niche, like, without doing, like, everything, right? Like, he's not Regis, but who is? Docty is also an incredibly kind and incredibly friendly person. I am lucky enough to consider him a friend. He was on the podcast once a month, which means he was probably the person on the podcast most ever, where he did the new card season with us. We love Docty. Docty has decided, without any malice, without any like big deal, that he's just done with Marvel Snap. He doesn't really want to play anymore. So he's not going to make content for the game that he doesn't play anymore. We'll see if anything else comes up. If it does, I promise to let you know. I will shout him out to the high heavens. But I want to say, as we talk about new cards, as we rank new cards, as we tier new cards, Docty was the best in the game at it, and he's going to be greatly missed. So I almost never put unreleased cards in S tier, but I think Surtur is going to be a must-have card. You know why I think Surtur is going to be a must-have card? I'm letting Glenn's hype get to me. The way Glenn talked about this card, if this card is not meta immediately, it will be later. That's exactly my take. I think this card is going to be incredible. Solid by Thena, who is an S if you have if you have Agent Venom, Copycat, and Malekith. That should say Agent, not Anti. Excuse me. But Thena, Copycat, and Malekith are the best buys. I think Malekith is going to be incredible. Please note that those are different weeks. However, Thena does come with Malekith, which seems like that should be an easy buy, at least to me. Wait, does Thena come with Malekith? Let's double check. Join me as we go for a ride. Sorry, it's been a long day. I streamed all day. Yeah, Thena comes with Malekith. So that's the easiest day to open, right? If you don't have Thena, if you don't have, and obviously you won't have Malekith. Look at all the decks. I feature so many decks. It's utterly absurd. All right, so Thena and Malekith are the easy bye week. Copycat is amazing. If you don't have Copycat, Red Guardian, and Frigga, that's an easy bye week because that's all three. Remember to only open if you have 4 caches. Cards that are for decks you like but not necessarily needed are Werewolf by Night, Red Guardian. Red Guardian is an important tech card though, so it could easily be higher. Annihilus, and then significantly lower is Legion, but he has to be in the same tier. I can't put him in the if it suits you. Frigga, Gorr, and Eitri. Good. That's the ranking of the cards. Meanwhile, if it suits you, I don't really like these cards, but I think they're worth owning. Fenris Wolf, Valentine, and Havoc. I could see Fenris Wolf going up a level. I think the card's not going to be that good. I can see Valentina forcing her way up a level, but she's not quite there yet. Meanwhile, everything else is in or has a meta deck, or has had a really meta deck relatively recently. So that's where we are with the tiers for the card. Let's see what this means. So what do you open for? You target the highest tier stuff, right? So note, get Surtur and Thena if you have Agent Venom. The note to get Surtur is it's the season pass card, but I think it's going to be incredible. Thena is a must-have card if you have Agent Venom. If you don't have Agent Venom, then that goes down a tier. And week 1, that has Copycat and Red Guardian is better. If Frigga is a Surfer card, then you get a Surfer deck out of it as long as you have Shaw. You can go Copycat, Red Guardian, Frigga, Surfer, and now you have a deck, which just seems like it's absolutely amazing. If you can only open one of the first 2 weeks, though, I would open for Thena and Malekith if I had Agent Venom, over opening for Copycat, Red Guardian, and Frigga. Valentine is doing better, but Thena is the must-have card of the month, and Malekith seems super strong. So nice and simple. Those are the 2 weeks we really care about. Werewolf and Annihilus will always have homes in meta decks. They will always be fine, but I don't think either is the meta right now, and it's been a while since either of them were the meta cards, were the meta things to do, and I don't really see that changing anytime soon. So I think that's a sort of down week with Fenris overrated. Then Havoc and Legion are Series 4 and just not remotely important. Unless you must have Gorr, who's going to be great, right? Unless you love Mr. Negative List, I think that you're opening the first 2 weeks and probably trying to save for the rest of the month. The first 2 weeks are where it's at, along with the season pass, and I hope you've been saving your spotlights for these extremely important Series 5 cards releasing the first 2 weeks of the season. I'm now choking and getting a drink before we continue this video. Sorry, I think I've been talking for like 7 hours today or 8 hours today. All right, questions of the day. We're not actually asking questions. The question is, should I buy Hell's Kitchen Haunt? Yeah, you should. If you have any use for the tokens, 3,000 collector's tokens for $35 with 1,500 credits is top line value. Is top line value within Marvel Snap, as I'm literally losing my voice. Go get this variant. Go get this bundle. You won't regret it. Holy crap, I've never lost my voice before. All right. In the Dead of the Night is not as worth it unless you don't have MODOK. If you don't have MODOK, this is a great bundle. If you do have MODOK, I'm losing my voice. I'm also recording. One sec. My wife hears me and it's like, what the hell? Whew. Okay. If you don't have MODOK, this is suddenly very worth it. But if you do have MODOK, this is just not enough value to be worth your time. Please skip this if you do own MODOK, and if you don't, buy it immediately. Meanwhile, this is just a must buy for anyone who uses tokens. Unless you're very close to collection complete or have a ton of tokens and hoard, like me, then this is a must buy bundle. This one, not so much. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. I'm going to say thank you to these people as quickly as possible because my voice is gone. Thank you to Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnett, Irregardless, David J. Winfield, Dirty, Casual, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer Inc., I Am Frostman, Jay Neverett, Thinking Poker, Primed Ryan, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Caretix Lee, Koire, Black Dahlia, Pyrofrost, The Code Seeker, Archangel 3K, Hollowed, Quid Pro, Joe, Docty, Fat Nick, Mr. Kerfuffle, Ginger Prime, Philip Brakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of The Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, The Bizet, Black, Jeebus23, Express V, and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, Tommy Nyquist, The King of Bros, The Great Kazoo, Kevsey Hoda, Lunacris, Corwin, John Q, Jimmy McQ, Glam, 8th Sage, Models, Mod Supreme, The Green Goblin. Hey, Green Goblin. Unibot, welcome aboard. Unibot, welcome aboard to the Filthy Casual as well. Flan56, Steven, Brian Coffin, Justin Smartin, Jason B, The Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrumix, Hoot, Matt H, DJ, Mikey Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Cricksterry, BG, Zodrax, The King of Canada, Den, Man, Falcon. Ooh, my voice is back. Spike Jones, Jonesy, Two Ties, The Great Lord Devs, The Pirate King Tuccrr, and of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for. Check out the Glenn podcast. It's linked right there. Check out our Pokemon channel. I got rolled in the recent Pokemon tournament, but I'm getting better all the time, friends. Thank you so much for watching. I love and appreciate you. Thank you for the support. See you tomorrow for another Snap Take, where I'm not streaming tomorrow, so my voice will actually work. Peace.